We'll start out with the Greenwise initiative. Very excited. Van Jones will be here today. He's flying in from back east, from DC via Phoenix to Sacramento. It'll be at the California EPA building next door at 2:30 to 3:30 is the actual program. Van Jones speaks about 3 o'clock. That's one of the first LEED buildings in the country, the EPA building, so it's appropriate that we're having it there. We're having Secretary of EPA Linda Adams speaking, Honorary Chair Speaker John Perez will be speaking, and then certainly Van Jones. So again, this is Van Jones is such a big draw. This room seats 250 people, and we have 400 people that have RSVP'd. So already you're going to have a situation where it's standing room only. And I think the crux of the matter for me is green is a hot topic around this country, but we're going to do more and talk about it. We're going to make it real. So when you think about how we improve our environment, that's one aspect of greening up. Secondly, how we can green our economy, which is the second area. And the third is kind of education, the green outreach. What's our personal responsibility? How can we create public awareness? How do we make sure social justice is involved in it? So environment, economy, education are three important E's. So Van Jones will be talking about the green collar jobs. I don't have one of my books here. One of the things that we did the last month or two is we read Van Jones' book, and we read it as city staff. So we have people from all different departments in the city reading this book, so they'll get a chance to get it autographed today. So again, excited about the progress that we made with green. In terms of council tonight, entertainment sports complex, we're going to get an update on that this evening. And you know, we're cautiously optimistic, but we're making progress. I need to say that we're still marching the ball up the field. It's a wrong sport, but nonetheless, we're marching the ball up the field. Tonight, we're going to be asked as a council, would we be willing to entertain an extension of the exclusive right to negotiate for about 60 days for two reasons. One, CalExpo is waiting to get a report back at the end of August, and once they get that report back on the feasibility of this particular project, they will make a decision at the end of September on whether or not it makes sense for them to sell the state fair at fair market value, number one, and number two, relocate it. Would they be willing to relocate the state fair out to Arco Arena? So that for me is enough of a reason to give an extension as it relates to CalExpo. So there needs to be key state legislation in place for those to happen. So we are working collectively with all the interested parties there. The second issue that will be outlined in that extension is the developer of the convergence plan. He needs to show that the financing is in place. Does he have the right underwriting? Has he brought Macquarie to the table? All those are very key issues. So you can see on both hands, the financing is one, and then CalExpo and the state are the other. So that's what the update will be about today. And I think that's it. Again, I'll open it up to questions. I'm sure you're going to probably ask on the youth tax, but any questions? Be glad to address them.
Well, that is my question, youth tax, and what about that, Mr. Mann?
Ask me a little more specifically.
Well, I mean, he makes the point that unlike the strong mayor proposal, his is not a restructuring of city government, and in fact, it's been out there in the community for 4 years, and so he disagrees with your characterization on your weblog that this was without proper discussion and vetting.
Yeah. So what I need to try to do to the best of my ability, which I don't do so well often, is that no one feels more committed to young people and education in Sacramento. I'd stack up my commitment to anybody from here to however far you want to go to define the broader Sacramento community. So that's number one. Number two, I think that this particular tax is something that was not discussed, meaning it was brought up last week. I believe the group tried to qualify through the initiative process. They did not achieve the minimal level that you would need to qualify for a ballot. So as a result, they didn't do it. They didn't make themselves eligible in that way. It is not something that we had discussed at council for far, I mean, I might have missed 2 meetings in 18 months, so I don't remember ever discussing it at council. And I think what it does, I mean, quite frankly, is to put something on the ballot where council hasn't had a chance to discuss it. And here's my point, and I would say this to Bill Camp. What I don't like is playing by different sets of rules. If we want to, as a council, say, hey, look, the minimum, and when there's exceptions, we can do something within 4 to 6 weeks, and that's a really quick process, I'm open to that. But then that needs to be consistent across the board. If it doesn't work in certain scenarios, but works in other scenarios, then I feel you're creating a distrust for the public and a lack of certainty. When the public, certainty.
Okay.
When the it's not consistent. So let me give you an example. You know, we've had RFP processes where people have bid on it, they've been selected, they come to a council meeting, and for some reason or another, we say that's not good enough, we're gonna go with somebody else. That erodes the trust of the general public. And to me, you know, when I look back at my 4 years, or if I'm lucky enough to be reelected for 8 years, I want to be a mayor that fought for good government policies, for good policies, fought for transparency. These are very important issues for me. And part of that is restoring the goodwill with the public, increasing an environment of trust. So when you're talking about down economy, if you're talking about a tax, and you're talking about something that people have not had a chance to have at least, again, 2 to 4 weeks of discussion on it, I don't think that does the public a disservice in my estimation. And I think that's why, again, tonight I'll voice my opinion. I do not believe that council will think that this is the best way to put something on the ballot when there's been a lack of discussion. Again, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, I'm fine with whatever time frame that we as a council choose, but there's gotta be a minimal level of a time frame so that the public can at least have a chance to dialogue on the issue. You do not wanna put a tax on the ballot. You do not wanna have that voted down. The merits of this, how can we get more resources for young people? I'm 100% behind supporting that and certainly the right dialogue.
Thank you.
All right.
We can have another tax, the possible crash tax.
The what tax?
Crash tax.
Okay, keep going.
Where people who don't live in the city of Sacramento are taxed if they get into an accident, they could be charged for emergency services.
So that's the assessment?
This is the finding people outside the city.
Yeah, okay.
Fire department.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, you know, can you talk about this better than I can?
Not offline, probably.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know, one of the things, you know, for us as a city is how can we get additional revenue?
Mm-hmm.
And does this give us an opportunity that when things happen within a city or outside of the city from people who are impacted one way or another, and isn't it fire and police, or is it just fire?
Fire department at this point.
So just the fire piece. What do you call it, Bob?
Fire recovery.
Fire Recovery Act, it involves the ambulance service essentially.
Yeah, so I mean, that's something I'm supportive of, and I think what the city manager has done is he's done an analysis, or is doing an analysis, and we might essentially be able to recoup an additional $1 million over the course of the calendar year by the fire recovery services. So again, I don't have all the details on it, but it's something I'm inclined to support, and the city manager is doing a full analysis on it. All right, any other questions? Guys are easy, it must be summertime. Okay, wait, so who can I put on the spot? What's that? Oh yeah, here's the one.
What's the title of it?
It's called The Green Collar Economy, Ben Jones. How one solution can fix 2 of our biggest problems. Environment, economy are the 2 problems. Okay, Ashley, come on up. Do me a favor, somebody ask her just a tough question.
Why?
Describe, tell us your name.
Okay.